Okay, we're going to show you real quick on how to install a humpback and how to tweak it out. If you got a humpback conversion kit for kickers, this is what you're going to be taking out of your machine for kickers. So you don't need them at all. And what you're going to be putting in is this. It's the entire system. When it's shipped to you, it comes all put together. This is where the ball rolls in. It rolls up the rubber lift arm and under the ball lift. You're going to have to take it apart to put it in the machine and disassemble it into its pieces. But the reason we put it together is so we know everything's going to line up for you. We put it in a jig, put everything together, and we know everything lines up. This part right here is your rail bracket, and that's what your up rails are going to bolt to. So we'll show you how to put that on in a minute. The first thing you got to do is a little bit of reconfiguration to your ball lift, and we'll show you that right now. Okay, prepare your ball lift by putting it on something like, a couple of buckets. 2x4s work good too. But what we're going to do is replace your support right here. That's your upper support. Actually, what we're going to do with that is just move it up a couple of holes. And then over here, where your link would go into here, what we're going to do is put on what we call our lower support, and that's where your link is going to hook to. So the first thing we got to do is drill some holes in here. I'll show you how to do that real quick and then get on with it. Okay, to put the new piece on, the first thing you're going to have to do is drill holes, and to be able to drill the holes in the right place, there's a template that you can get. Get the template once, you could use it over and over again. But before we put the template on, we've got to drill holes over in here to put the support on. We've got to take this support off. Then the template will fit on, and the support's going to get moved up one set of holes. If you notice, there's 2 bolts on one side. In this particular one, there's rivets, so we're going to have to drill them out. But when we put the unit on, it's going to move up one set of holes. And that'll be set just right then. Okay, if you got yourself a decent drill, and you got an end on it for a socket, these bolts come off real easy. It's good to use these drills when installing the rings and stuff too. Then these 2 rivets that's left in here, what we're going to have to do is just drill them out and just tap them with a hammer and pop them out. Okay, you got 4 holes on your tube where the piece that the upper support that you just took off, the 4 holes are remaining. And in your template, you got 4 holes on one side and 3 holes on the other side. The 3rd hole from the outside is where you put the bolt. Just put the template on and it goes through the 1st hole of the support. You really can't get it wrong because the end of the template comes right to the end of the pulley. It's only like a little bit of clearance there. So just line the hole up, stick the bolt in. Once you put the bolt in, you want to make sure that this is flush against the tube. Good idea to get one of these clamps. Put it on there. And then we're going to drill these 4 holes out. We're going to drill 2 holes out on the other side over here. When you're done drilling all your 4 holes out on this side, just flip the ball lift over and then drill the holes out on the other side. As long as it's up in the air like this and you're pushing down on it, use a new drill bit. It's really not too bad. But once you get your holes drilled out, what you want to do is put your upper support back on. But what you're going to do is put it in the 2 new holes that you drilled. So just move it up one set of holes. And it goes up towards the top pulley. And that's where that gets bolted on to. And then you take your lower support, the new piece, and you put that onto the 4 new holes that you just did. It's probably a good idea to run a drill bit through there, make sure all the holes line up, because we send these things out to get powder coated. Sometimes the holes fill in a little bit. Just run the drill bit through, put your 4 bolts in, and that's where you hook your new link to. Instead of putting the link on this back part of your yoke, you stick it through here. And the ball is going to sit in there exactly like a PBL would then. Same configuration, it's going to be a little lower, a little further back. Okay, I didn't screw this on yet because I wanted to show you something. This piece right here replaces the original equipment piece that would go with a PBL if you had PBLs. The difference with this piece is it's adjustable. There's washers stacked up in here. And you could actually adjust the ball lift angle, where you can't do that with the original equipment, PBL equipment. If the top of the nut here is even, you got enough washers so that the top of the nut is even with the top of the bolt on this unit, it's configured exactly like the original equipment. In other words, the distance between the holes where you would bolt it on and the hole where the shaft would go in it would be equal. What we did, we took some extra shims out and we left a little bit of the thread showing, bring the bottom of the ball lift back, because usually the original equipment stuff doesn't line the ball lift up real well. Every machine's a little bit different, so it's going to determine how many washers you're going to want in there to really tweak it out. If you put the ball lift in, and I'll show you that shortly, and you think that you need to a little more clearance for the ball, what you would do is take washers out. If you want the bottom of the ball lift a little more forward into the hole, you would put washers in. But we're going to show you that in a second. All right, here's a picture of the unit already installed. I mean, I don't have to tell you how to take your kicker stuff out. I mean, you guys know how to do that. A couple quick hints, though. The starter pad, when you take that out, take out the bolt from the odd machine first. For instance, this goes in here like that initially, and then take the bolt out from the even machine, because if you take the other one out first, it's going to spring, and then you can't get in there with a ratchet, and it's just a pain in the neck. Just a little tip there. When you take your kicker stuff out, there's a bolt here that's below the bounce plate. You don't need to take the whole bounce plate out to get that out. Just stick a crowbar in there. You can flex the bounce plate a little bit away, and if you get yourself an Allen wrench like this, grind down the Allen wrench, so there's just a little stub on there, just enough to get into the bolt. And when you spread the kickback away, you can get the Allen wrench down into there, get it into the bolt, and then break it loose from the nut end. Don't try to break it loose from the Allen end, because you're going to strip the Allen out. If you do happen to have a stripped out Allen, there's all kinds of ways to get those things out, but what I do is, if you get yourself a Dremel tool and put 2 cutting discs on it, what you can do is cut a groove right into the center of the screw, and you can put a regular, just cut a slit down the center of the screw. Make sure you get from end to end, and get a big screwdriver, then stick it in there, break the nut loose from the other side. If you got the right tools to get it out, that's great too, but it's just a quick way of doing it. One other thing, when you put the shock absorber on, you're going to have to flip this bracket over so that the lip is the other way on it. But when you put it on, what you want to do is either put a nut down here or spacers so that this top nut is near the top of the shock absorber. You could have maybe a 1/4 inch of thread showing or something. And the reason for that is the shock absorber is only going to open so far, and then that's it. It won't open anymore. And if the nut isn't high enough, you may not be able to lower your ball lift enough. So when you put it back on, just space it out down here or put a nut underneath there so you can tighten the whole thing down. But you want this top nut here, pretty close to the top. Maybe a little bit of thread showing. That'll be fine.